What's going on, guys, and welcome to Who to Sign For. Now in this series I'm giving you my recommendations on what players to sign for a specific team in career mode. But before we go on, I will say that the signings you'll see aren't designed to be realistic and that the player ratings and potential of the players may vary depending on what database you're using and how they perform for you during the season. Obviously you don't have to follow all the tips, this is really just a set of guidelines to give you a hand if you're stuck for ideas and want some suggestions on what players you could sign for a certain club. This is mainly aimed at those of you out there who may be new to the game and just need a little bit of advice, or for those of you out there who just want a few recommendations on what players to sign for a team that you may be using in career mode this year. So yes, in today's episode of Who to Sign For, guys, we are going to take a look at the Spanish side Sevilla, currently competing in La Liga, who, as we all know, are the most successful Europa League team of all time. They're the only team that's won it 3 seasons straight. They've won it more times than anyone else. A really good Spanish side. Of course, they've got Lopetegui as their head coach right now. A 4.5 star team, and definitely a really fun one to do a FIFA career mode. They've got a real stadium, they've got 3 really nice kits. I really like their alternate kit, and they've also got a really decent team as well. Again, it's a 4.5 star team. They started off with a budget around 31 to 32.5, maybe 33 mil at a stretch. Their team's pretty decent. There's some decent young talent in there as well, no doubt about it, but their objectives in the first season are quite strong. They've got a finish in the top 4 in La Liga. That's definitely doable. They're going for that in real life right now. It will be tough with the likes of Valencia and Athletic Bilbao and Atletico Madrid competing with you for the 3rd and 4th spots. As you know, Barcelona and Real Madrid are pretty much always going to be the top 2 in La Liga in FIFA career, but it is definitely doable, no doubt about it. Reach the last 16 of the Copa del Rey. That's the easy objective of the 3, but of course the 3rd objective is, unsurprisingly, as we alluded to a moment ago there, Sevilla need to win the Europa League in the first season. They are the most successful team in the Europa League of all time, and in the game the board expects you to continue that trend of winning the Europa League. That's the toughest of the 3 objectives, no doubt about that. Again, it is a really good team though. Again, 4.5 stars. There are a couple of decent youngsters in there, including the centre-back Kunje, who is a really, really decent player. Is it Kunje? The French centre-half. A really decent player. And again, there's some quality all throughout this side. But as you'll notice as I run you through the team here, it does need a little bit of a change. And the biggest change I would say with Sevilla needed for me is to sell on all of the Deadwood they've got here at the club, because there is a lot of it. There are loads of players right now at this team that quite frankly don't have the quality for now or for the future, and they need to go as soon as possible. You notice well, there's loads of players that are out on loan right now that have resale value. You can recall them for a small fee and then sell them on for a bigger profit. You got the likes of Amadou, Corchia, the right back, Simon Kier I'd recommend recalling to play in the starting 11, but Rocky Mesa, Alex Vidal as well. Quite a lot of players that are in their late 20s that you can recall, sell for a big profit and get some more cash in your budget. So yeah, look at the transfer list here. Loads of players: Nolito, Vazquez, Roque Mesa, Vidal, Corchia, Amadou. Some of the players that we recall from their loan spells here. These are the guys you need to sell in the very first season, because right now they're out on loan. They're doing you no favours whatsoever. You might as well recall them and get some money into your bank balance for them. So Sevilla in the first season, again, it's a decent team, but there's loads of players here, especially out on loan, you don't need. They're not good enough for now or the future, and it's best to sell them and make a profit as quickly as you can. Now obviously Vazquez is a first 11 player, but I still would recommend selling him in the first season anyway, which is what we decided to do, because he is 30 years old, only 80 rated, and you can get younger and better as well. And you might notice too, I did decide to put Ava Banega on the transfer list as well. Now this is a really interesting one. Of course, the former Valencia midfielder is really, really talented, a fantastic passer of the ball. However, he's now 31 years old, and whilst he is 84 rated and the highest rated player in the team, he is out of contract come the end of the season, and whilst you might want to give him a new deal and keep him here because his rating is so high, personally speaking, in my opinion, I think it would be best to sell him in the first window, as he's only going to get worse right from the very first season, and make as much money for him as you possibly can. We sold him to Crystal Palace for, I believe, £27 million, and again, whilst he is 84 rated, it's a really high rating. It's the highest rated in the side. Because he is 31 years old, he will decrease in ability right from the very first season, and at a contract on the end of the season as well. My my recommendation is to cash in on the Argentine and make a profit as quickly as you possibly can. So you're selling 2 of the 3 central midfielders in this team, but again, because they're both in their early 30s now, they're only going to get worse. It's best to cash in and get as much money as you possibly can right from the very first minute. So of course, once you sell those midfielders there, the number 1 target for me was Sevilla to splash the cash on in the very first season after you sold a load of Deadwood players here, is to bring in a quality central midfielder to replace Ava Banega. You don't want to take a step back from the Argentine. You want to look for players that are 84 rated minimum and higher, and players that are several years younger as well. And my 3 main targets would be these guys right here. You got Sol of Atletico Madrid, the lad with high work rates, really high stamina, amazing versatility, and great technical stats as well. Wilfred Ndidi, who I am such a huge fan of in real life, the Leicester City midfielder with bags of energy and a great reader of the game. And also Leon Goretzka of Bayern Munich as well. All 3 of these players would be absolutely fantastic. However, Sol is the highest rated at 85 overall with 89 potential as well. He will cost you an absolute fortune to get to Sevilla. And if you do want to bring Sol to Sevilla, you'll be spending pretty much every single penny you've got in the transfer budget right now. You're looking at around 65 to 70 million pounds. Wilfred Ndidi is the cheapest option of the 3, and Leon Goretzka is going to probably cost you over 50 million pounds, around 50 to 55 million pounds, I would say, realistically speaking. So in my opinion, out of all the 3 here, I look for the best value for money deal. Ndidi and Goretzka both start off 84 rated with 88 potential, and while Sol is 1 rating higher than the pair, with 1 rating higher for potential at 89 as well, either Ndidi or Goretzka will be great options here at Sevilla if you can't afford Sol. And personally speaking, I can't recommend Wilfred Ndidi high enough. He is such an energetic player. He's really fun to use in FIFA as well. His key stats are stamina, jumping, interception, stand tackle, aggression, and defensive awareness as well. As a high defensive work rate type of player with 4-star weak foot too, he is an interception king in this game and a great player to have as part of your midfield trio. Again, indeed, he's 84 rated, so the same as Ava Banega, but he's 9 years younger with 88 potential as well, and he won't cost you too much more than you sold Ava Banega and Vazquez for combined. So indeed, my number 1 target if you can't get Sol. Otherwise, Goretzka, any of the 3 really. It's personal preference, but again, if you are going to sign Sol, he'll cost you basically every single penny you have, so be wise about your decision to bring the Spaniard in. But as for more sales with Sevilla, you can see we sold Alex Vidal here, the right-sided player as well. You'll notice that Sevilla don't have a backup right-back in their team in the first season unless you recall Corchia and Vidal that can play backup right-back as well. However, personally speaking, I'd recommend selling both Corchia and Vidal in the first season. They're both in their late 20s, in the mid-70s for overall as well, so not very highly rated, and look to bring in a better backup right-back for Jesus Navas, who is younger, better rated, and has higher potential for the future as well. You can see here that we did sell Vidal at the first time of asking. He rejected Monaco, but went to Benfica for 8.5 mil. But before we sign that backup right back for Jesus Navas, I'd still recommend another central midfielder. Once you've lost Banega and Vazquez, you're going to want someone else to come in and play alongside Wilfred Ndidi, or Sol, or Goretzka, whoever you choose to buy. And there are 4 good options here to play alongside the Nigerian and Fernando as well. You've got Federico Valverde of Real Madrid, who is amazing in this game. The French central midfielder whose name I can never pronounce, that plays for Lyon. Very talented midfielder with bags of potential. And also Rodrigo Bentancur, the Uruguayan that plays for Juventus, and Mikel Merino of Real Sociedad as well. Now, like these 3 midfielders I showed you earlier, this all comes down to the best value for money deal. All 3 are very similar ratings. Valverde and the Lyon midfielder have the highest potentials at 90 and 89 respectively, but don't be put off by Merino and Rodrigo Bentancur as well. Whilst they are both the joint lowest rated players out of the 4 I show you on the shortlist here, Rodrigo Bentancur has 87 potential and Mikel Merino has 86 potential as well. So they become 2 very good midfielders when they're peaking, and of course with dynamic potential, there's no reason you can't get these guys into the high 80s for overall as well. They're really good sort of budget options, if you will. If you can't afford Valverde and the Lyon midfielder as well, either of these guys will be really good coming in. They're great technical players, really comfortable comfortable on the ball, and I opted for Mikel Merino in the end, as he was the cheapest at just £24.5 million. And don't be put off by Merino being the joint lowest rated out of those four as well, because Merino's a fabulous player. Technically, as you'll see in a moment's time, he's got some brilliant stats at just 23 years old, 80 rated, and again, with +6 for growth and dynamic potential, no reason why you can't get him to the high 80s. I believe this guy also spent time playing as a ball-playing defender as well, and at 6'2", that wouldn't be a bad position change for you later down the line when you want to phase him back deeper in your team. But again, really great stats, the flair trait as well, and like Vazquez, he starts off 80 rated, but he's 7 years younger than the Argentine who we sold earlier, and he can slot right into your first team as a really solid option as part of your midfield trio. So yeah, Mikel Merino or Bentancur, either of which would be really good options. They'll cost you around the same sort of fee if you can't get Valverde or the Lille midfielder, and they're a little bit out of your price range. So Merino, fantastic signing, even though he's the joint lowest rated out of the four. But once we signed Merino, as you can see, we completed some decent deals there. We also decided to go ahead and sign a backup right back. I alluded to it earlier. Obviously, Vidal and Corchia are out on loan right now. Can both play as backup right backs for Jesus Navas, but personally speaking, I'd recommend selling them both and bringing in a better and younger backup right back. And I think you know who I was going to choose. Hector Bellerin of Arsenal, of course, 24 years old now. Where does the time go? 79 rated with 84 potential as well. And in the first season too, with Jesus Navas being 33 years old, the Sevilla captain is likely to decrease in rating right from the get-go. So you want a player that can step in as soon as the experienced right-sided player starts declining in rating. Bellerin is 3 ratings lower than Navas, but 9 years younger, and come the end of the season, or perhaps even midway through the season, he'll be good enough to take over from Jesus Navas as your starting right back. Maybe not right from the get-go, but after about 8 to 10 months, you'll find he is just as good, if not better, than the experienced right-sided player. And the final thing you'll see we decided to do with Sevilla here was sell the left-back Escudero, 29 years old and 78 rated as well. Not a bad backup left-back for Reguilon, who is of course on loan at Sevilla right now, but with Reguilon being on loan, what you'll want is someone better for the future. Escudero at 29 is only going to get worse as time goes on. So once we sold him out of the club here, we had just about enough money to bring in one backup left back who's good enough to replace Reguilon even in the first season or from season 2 once he goes back to his parent club from his loan spell. 3 options here that will be really good to replace him. You got Juan Bernat of Paris Saint-Germain, Jose Gaia of Valencia, who I would make my #1 target out of the 3, and also Benjamin Mendy of Manchester City as well. All 3 of these left backs would be good enough to replace Reguilon right from the very first season or from season 2 once he leaves your club after his loan spell. Bernat will be the most expensive. PSG never want to let him go in the first season on the cheap. He's 26 years old, 81 rated. You can get him for around 21 to 22 million pounds, but personally speaking, I don't think that deal represents good value for money as he only grows 1 rating. Jose Gaia, I believe, gets to 85 rated, but he'll cost you the most amount of money. But Benjamin Mendy is definitely probably the best value for money deal out of the 3 here. Because Manchester City have Zinchenko in the left-back role and Angelino out on loan as well right now, they don't hold you to ransom for the Frenchman. You can get him for around £20 million, which is a really good deal, because whilst he is 25 years old and 80 rated, he still grows 5 ratings and has the most potential out of the 3, I believe. So Mendy, a fantastic option to bring in here. He's a really great player to begin with at 80 rated, already good enough to challenge Reguilon for the starting left-back role, and again, with 85 potential as well. Once the Spaniard goes back to his parent club, he'll be good enough to take over as your starting left-backs for all the years you're at Sevilla. High-low work rates, really great stats, especially when going forward, and a really solid backup for Reguilon in the very first season. So in the end, we signed 4 players and sold 9 here with Sevilla, most of which are players that we recalled from loans. And again, this is why you always want to recall players that are out on loan right now if they have resale value. They're doing nothing for you out on loan. If you bring them back for a small fee, you can sell them on for a much bigger profit. We sold 9 players in the end for £98.25 million while signing 4 players for £106 million. It was a net loss of £8.25 million, which is nothing really with Sevilla. We've sold to Deadwood. That was our priority in the first season, and we've got better players that are younger as well and look good for now and for the future too. Mikel Merino and Ndidi going straight into our midfield trio, and Benjamin Mendy and Hector Bellerin as right back and left back, who'll be good enough to take over at the end of the first season or the start of the second season as well. So I really like how he restructured this Sevilla team. It looked way better after we changed it in the very first transfer window. The question is though, could we achieve our 3 objectives with Sevilla? Very very strong ones there of finishing in the top 4, reaching the last 16 in the Copa del Rey. Yeah, that's fairly simple, but also winning the Europa League as well, once again, as they look to become the most the most successful club in Europa League history. Well, as you can see, we did hit our league objective. We finished in the top 4, 4th place in the end with 88 points. Ordinarily, that would be good enough for a title challenge, of course, in real life. But as we know, in this year's FIFA career mode, the league tables are always so lopsided. So in the end, we finished a whopping 17 points behind the eventual winners, Real Madrid. We did hold off Valencia, though. They are probably going to be your main threat for 4th spot in the Champions League places. We held them off by 4 points to qualify for the Champions League, finish in the top 4 and hit our league objective. The cup objective was exceeded as well. We went all the way to the final before being thrashed by Atletico Madrid. Bit of a shame there. I thought you'd have put more of a fight there in the Copa del Rey final, but either way, going 2 steps further and reaching the final, very, very impressive indeed. But as for the Europa League, I never sweep anything under the rug. I always show all the failures we have in these, and as you can see, we failed in the Europa League pretty catastrophically. Knocked out by Lazio in the round of 16, who got to the final themselves for being beaten by Dortmund. We were supposed to win it, couldn't even reach the last 8. That was quite disappointing, especially considering Sevilla's record in the Europa League. So whilst it was a failure in the continental success objective, we did hit both our domestic objectives and in fact exceeded our cup objective, which was really nice to see. And as I'll run you through the team here as well, I have to say this was a really fun Sevilla team to rebuild in the first transfer window as well. The young talent we signed, all developing really nicely in the first season. Hector Bellerin, I alluded to it earlier, good enough to take over from Jesus Navas towards the end of the first season and for season 2 onwards. Benjamin Mendy, 81 rated now after the first season. He's ready to become your starting left back in place of Reguilon once he goes back from his loan spell. And of course, when you look at the likes of Wilfred Ndidi and also Mikel Merino as well, they were the real success stories in the first season with this Sevilla team. And Ndidi growing 2 ratings for Sevilla in the first season to 86 overall already, as an energetic midfielder, already looking absolutely solid after just 1 season's worth of progression. And as for Mikel Merino, I discussed it earlier, don't be put off by the fact he is the lowest rated out of the 4 midfielders I showed you there, alongside Valverde, the Lyon midfielder, and also Benzema as well. Because in the first season, he grew 3 ratings to 83 overall, and is already looking like a fantastic player for now, and still at just 23 years old for the future as well. It's a really, really fun team, this one, Sevilla. Again, you want to add some young talent into it, sell to Deadwood in the very first season. But if you're looking for a big club that has a decent enough budget, but with strong objectives, a real stadium, nice kits, looking to break up the Barcelona and Real Madrid dominance in La Liga as well, and a rebuild required, you don't need to look any further than Sevilla. They're a fantastic team to use. Again, I love the free kits they've got as well, and I'd certainly recommend them for a Spanish-based career mode in La Liga in FIFA 20 career mode. But that was today's episode of the time for, guys. A big thank you for watching. I had a lot of fun doing this one. If you did enjoy it, then please do drop a like. Much love to you all. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you for the next episode of Who to Sign For very soon.